fucking be. My man Wayne is dressed to fucking kill. He's got the butterfly collar. He is pushing the color envelope way back in the early 80s with the goddamn black and tan. Like, my man is like, fuck you. I am about my life. He is all about, yeah. You want to mess with the bull, you get the horns. I mean, he didn't want to be there. He's dealing with these bad ass fucking kids. And these kids ain't fucking making it easier. Like, they just keep fucking up and keep fucking with his world. And like, he's like, come on, man, I'm just trying to get a paycheck. You see me, I'm clearly about the club life. I am about to fucking go disco. I got bell bottoms on a goddamn Saturday morning. Like, what the fuck? I swear to God, I think he even has platforms on it. Holy shit. And then bring it all home, because I have to, for the schools before my coup de grace. I'm going to have to go with Ed Rooney and Ferris Bueller. Once again, you got a kid just trying to skip school, and your job is keep kids in school. Like, what are we missing here? And by the way, forget about what he witnesses with Sloan in the beginning with fucking her tugging down her dad. Like, my man's like, I'm just going to let all this slide. This is my goddamn job. I have to get all these kids back into school. And then the last one, the EPA fucking chief in Ghostbusters. Here's the funny part with Ghostbusters. Every goddamn Ghostbusters said, except for Ernie Hudson, who just shows up and gets to jail. But every fucking one of them say, hey, if we fuck up, we are literally creating a nuclear bomb. We will wipe out all of the Eastern Seaboard. So that's a goddamn problem. So yeah, the EPA guys should be stepping in. I guarantee you, if that was our city, we'd be cheering for him and not some bunch of assholes running around with vacuums on their goddamn back. Sorry, I went over time.
I want everyone to take a deep breath. I want Rashawn to take several deep breaths.
I'll believe in that.
Seriously.
My asthma killed my deep breath a long time ago.
Right in the blocks. Right in the blocks, and that's a big Twinkie. That's all there is to that, man.
No, man, I gotta disagree with that. I mean, didn't he? The guy was trying. You don't just go fooling with equipment you don't understand. Like,
I agree. I'm not agreeing with his
tactics. I've already established that this thing is a dangerous, potentially nuclear level piece of equipment. Shut it off. I mean, how else would you know for sure, right?
Templeton Peck. I mean, a bad guy for the Peck. Right, and just like, but he was also such the uptight '80s, white guy asshole.
Oh, every single person that I talked about was completely insufferable. Like, fuck all of them. They are horrible human beings. I'm just pointing out, if we were actually going to be real about things, every single person I just talked about is like, I gotta say, if that was in my world, I'd be agreeing with them.
Yeah, probably.
He's got a point. He's got a point, and that's why we go to our beloved 3 of clubs, because he's always going to bring it. He's going to bring it right to you, not slowing down. In
either going to be blackjack, we're shooting the moon, or you have a horrible fucking deck of cards.
It's tough, but nevertheless, we're gonna make that 3 of clubs mighty ornate. Well, that's a tough act to follow, and it is. Somebody has to do it, and we decided in a coin flip prior to the taping that it was my turn. So I'm gonna have to follow that up. I'm gonna take a moment here. I'm just gonna get a little more zen in my outlook. I'm gonna bring it down.
I mean, before we switch over, I mean, we got to have a little bit of commentary about that list. I think it's solid.
It is solid.
Exactly, especially about Sloan and her dad. I mean, that would have been alarming. I would have looked down on him if he didn't get worked up about that.
Yeah, no, it's true.
I actually am one of those people who was waiting for that scene in Top Gun to descend into just a huge, coke orgy. It did not. But luckily, by the grace of gay porn, it has been done over and over and over again. So
I always imagine Kelly McGillis.
I wanted to put that out there for the listeners so they know that they could just go Google it.
Oh, yeah,
I always picture that scene being filmed and Kelly McGillis being on the side watching it and being like, who's gay herself, being like, this is some gay ass shit. You guys understand this? Like, I can't even do this with my girls. Like this.
I'm totally walking away.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, I'm totally walking away, and I'm gonna be with a woman the rest of my life. That's what she said after that scene. Like, and we're done.
And we're done.
Scene now. Yeah, obviously. Go Kelly. Hope everything is great. Hope everything is happy for Kelly McGinnis. Before I get entire hate mail, it's all awesome. It's all good. Bad 80s movies that were, Navy recruitment films notwithstanding.
Yeah, and I totally left out Chet from Weird Science. Once again, your big brother.
Yeah.
Your little brother shows up with a computer generated human being. It's like, okay, yeah, I have some problems.
Ethically.
Got some issues.
Yeah.
But then he takes one look at her and says, "I'd like to butter your muffin."
Don't get me wrong. Like
he's losing some of the moral high ground there.
None of these guys have moral high ground, by the way. And Chet is left off the list because he's so much an asshole. It's like, fuck that guy no matter what.
There is that. All right. Well, I brought in my special shirt today just to, nobody can see it because we're on an audio thing, but I've got a reference here actually going to Alex Jones, of all things, who referenced, of course, the movie that I'm going to get eye rolls in the audience here that I'm, of course, going to reference, which is Blade Runner. And it says AJ 3000, and he actually quoted a line from the film Blade Runner where he says, talking about himself, though, which is what makes it so bloody comical. Yeah, I mean, that's what, as of course he does, because he was talking about having to eat his neighbors during the coronavirus pandemic when it was first starting a year and a half ago now. And he was, called himself combat model, optimum self-sufficiency, probably the leader, which is the literal line that one of the guy that the police chief says to Harrison Ford, talking about my man, Roy Batty. And that's why I wanted to bring him up, because Roy Batty is, in my opinion, I love this film, and it's going to probably come up again. So, it's much like, I guess I'm making the audience endure what my wife endures when I go over the same points over and fucking over again. And I'm like, hey, honey, have I told you this? And she's like, only 2,000 fucking times.
And somehow made it 15 years.
15 years this week. Thank you very much. God bless her. She's the smartest woman I know, save for the one mistake.
Perfect.
We all know who that is. We all know what that mistake was. But still, Roy is to me, one of those three-dimensional characters and villains. Right. It's set up. And when I first saw Blade Runner, it was set up as a film noir. It actually had a voiceover track with Harrison Ford kind of describing the world, because, sci-fi was still at such a level of kind of infancy, particularly in film. They had to sort of explain so many concepts. So it's interesting because a lot of one of the characteristics of that film, people hate it because of the narration and where it kind of butts in on a few points. On the other hand, we wouldn't necessarily know some of the things we ended up knowing about the movie without the narration. So it's very interesting. Years later, Ridley Scott, the director, takes out the narration and just lets the story play out on its own. And it is a basic, it's set up initially as this idea of basic good versus evil, right? Law keeper, law breaker. Harrison Ford represents the law. These replicants, these genetically engineered creatures, even so much so, just showing how our vocabulary changed. I think when I first watched it and listened to it, I would often heard them described as robots, right? We had this kind of idea that they were like Terminators even before Terminators. The movie came out in 1980. And we didn't really have the full kind of concept of what replicants were. But now, in the real life, where science fiction starts to catch up with reality, we have CRISPR, right? We have a device that can actually start to change the genetics of a zygote in the womb, right? That has even been effectively done so far. So because of this advancement and these types of things, we've created this enhanced series of humans, right? Roy is in fact a combat model. He can withstand extreme heat, extreme cold. He is sent out to fight the wars for this new society, this new regime. He's also followed by several different people with different characteristics and different aspects, but they're all used for some form of slave labor and prostitution, right? Which, so it's all slave labor, either war, heavy work, or sexual slavery, right? That is what designated this newer class of being to. They were given a 4-year lifespan, so they have, because for fear of them being so enhanced and so much better than the humans that built them. that they are not, not able to live very long with that. But here you have in this character, he comes back to Earth, and he is very violent. He is very angry. But he is questioning himself. He is questioning the things he's done in life. He's searching for his father figure. In that, he is the same as Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster returning to Frankenstein, saying, "Why did you make me? Right? What is it? You gave me this. You gave me life, but you gave me no grounding, no anchor, no start place to go to, or no understanding of my place in the world." And in that, he's as I say, he's this violent character who has killed many people, but he's questioning that. He's questioning, why am I doing this? Why, I was built for this, but I never had a choice in what I was built to do. I never had a choice in where I was going to go in this life. And I want that choice now. And the saddest part is it's much like Lucifer being cast down from heaven. He's been built as this near perfect being in so many ways, but he doesn't even have a choice in how he's going to behave. He doesn't even have a choice in what he's going to be. And he has no choice in what his creator has in mind for him to be used for in the long run. So he comes back to this man, Tyrell. And once again, if you haven't seen this movie, come on, shame on you. You got to get back and see it. But he comes back to his father figure, to his God. He's asking to be embraced. He's and he's also questioning the very nature of not only of his life, but what he's done. One of the first things he does when he sees this character is he says, "I've done things, questionable things." That's what his first lines that he says. Is he's already really like saying, what was it I was doing here? Because I killed a lot of people, right? Is his reaction upon first seeing his father. And this father figure says, "Well, you've also done great things." So already he's on a bit of a collision course with his own psyche. He's asking immediately, he comes to him, he's saying, "Listen, you've given me this limited lifespan and I want more." Actually, great line, he says, "I want more life, fucker." Right? He just, is so infuriated. And his much like the angels in the example, and he uses different references to Paradise Lost, which I just think is great throughout the movie. He talks about the fall of Satan. He talks about it. He quotes from the poem. Much like that, much as God says to his creations and the angels, who are all mad at him for making mankind, he says the same thing to his creation, right? He says, "I've made you as best as I can make you, and I cannot make it any different. I can't unmake you. I can't redo it," right? He gives him these scientific, these technical examples of why he can't actually change him now that the die has been cast. And there, you have this bad guy, right? In this about 5-10 minute scene, right? That the whole movie culminates to. Now, the rest of the time, we've been watching Harrison Ford go around and kill these beings, and we think he's doing the right thing. But you see at this moment what a terrible mistake that is, because you have this character going back to his creator, to his literal God, who is then basically saying, "You've been made the best I can make you, and I can give you no more. So revel in your time," is his exact word to him, which that he then promptly crushes the guy's skull for his trouble. Because out of sheer frustration, I mean, there's nothing else he can do. He knows that the gamut has been run out. This film is asking some really deep questions that were really deep and amazing to me for the 1980s. And the simple is, like I say, in 1980, I never had watched a film that was not simply good guy versus bad guy, right? When I first watched the movie, I'm cheering for Harrison Ford. I'm watching him go around and go through this. And there's this one incredibly beautifully shot scene that they reshot. And I never noticed it until I saw the actress years later. She explained that the stuntman just was very masculine, and they put a terrible wig to make him look like her. And the character is running, this replicant is running away, and our hero, in bunny quotes, pulls out a gun and shoots her, and she's falling through these panes of glass. And it's the most like artistic, beautiful scene I've ever seen, with the panes of glass are reflecting all this neon light that's around, and it's all done in slow motion. And here even our hero starts to really question what he's doing, right? After he sees